Life does not take decades to change. It takes a single decision, a single spark, a single moment where you finally draw a line and say, enough. I will no longer live as I did yesterday. Most people believe transformation requires years of hard work before they can even see the first glimpse of change. But the truth is far more powerful. A week is enough to plant the seed of an entirely new destiny. 7 days of relentless commitment to the right habits can shift the direction of your life forever. It is not the length of time that matters. It is the intensity of focus, the clarity of intention, and the discipline to act without hesitation. 1 week can become the birth of a new identity if you dare to treat it as a turning point rather than just another passing stretch of days. The world tries to convince you that change is slow, that you must crawl through endless struggle before you see results. But this is the language of the defeated. Life bends quickly for the one who decides without compromise. The reason most people fail to change is not because they are weak or unlucky, but because they hesitate. They dip their toe into change rather than dive fully in. They treat new habits as experiments instead of commands. But once you decide with absolute certainty, even 1 week of aligned habits can rewrite the story of your future. The shift is instant in the mind, and the body simply follows the orders. What you must understand is that habits are not small or meaningless. Habits are not just routines you practice in the morning or at night. Habits are forces. They are invisible architects that build your character, your thoughts, your emotions, and ultimately your destiny. Every choice you repeat becomes a pattern. Every pattern becomes a program. Every program becomes your life. If your habits are weak, your future will be weak. If your habits are powerful, your future will be unstoppable. And the beauty of life is that no matter where you stand right now, you can step into new habits at any moment. Think about this. You are not controlled by years of your past. You are controlled by the habits you repeat today. That is why 1 week matters so much. 1 week of decisive change is enough to shatter the chains of the past and open a new door. Imagine living 7 straight days with clarity, discipline, visualization, ruthless focus, and gratitude. Imagine what happens when every thought and every action begins to align with your highest self. The old version of you starts to lose power, and a new version begins to rise. It may seem subtle in the moment, but the seed is already planted, and once a seed is planted in fertile soil, it cannot help but grow. The awakening begins when you stop underestimating the little things. A small shift repeated daily is not small at all. It is the most powerful force in existence because it compounds. 1 push today seems insignificant, but 7 pushes in a row create momentum. And momentum is the secret that turns a week of habits into a lifetime of transformation. You are never as far away from a new life as you think. You are only a handful of decisions away. That is why the first week is everything. It is the spark that lights the fire, the moment where excuses die and a new chapter begins. So when I say life can change in a week, understand this is not exaggeration. It is truth backed by the laws of the mind. The subconscious does not need decades to adapt. It needs consistency and intensity. Feed it clear commands, and it obeys. Show it new patterns, and it adjusts. In just 7 days of unwavering practice, your subconscious begins to bend, and once it bends, your entire reality begins to bend with it. A week is the doorway. Once you step through it with commitment, nothing in your life will remain the same. Most people overlook the quiet force of small, repeated actions. They dismiss little changes because they appear too simple, too insignificant to matter. Yet what they fail to see is that the smallest shift, when repeated daily, is the key that unlocks massive transformation. A drop of water seems powerless, but when it falls in the same place again and again, it shapes stone. Habits work in the same way. The human mind is designed to adapt, to rewire itself according to what it repeatedly sees, hears, and does. This is why even a single small act, when consistently repeated, becomes a lever that can move the weight of an entire life. The reason people stay trapped in the same cycle year after year is not because change is impossible, but because they underestimate the compound power of consistency. Change does not require giant leaps. It requires steady, unshakable steps taken with discipline. A single push-up will not transform your body, but a daily push-up becomes the seed of strength. A single page of writing will not create a book, but a page every day creates a manuscript that could outlive you. A moment of gratitude may not seem life-changing, but gratitude practiced daily rewires the nervous system, reshaping the way you see every challenge and opportunity. The mind adapts to whatever is repeated. If you repeat fear, you live in fear. If you repeat strength, you live in strength. The direction of life is determined by what you repeat, not by what you occasionally attempt. Most people fail because they chase intensity over consistency. They try to change everything in one day, only to burn out and return to old patterns. But true transformation is found in the power of compounding. Small actions multiply silently in the background until one day the results are undeniable. You cannot see the tree growing day by day, but you know it is growing. In the same way, you may not see dramatic changes within the first hours or even the first few days of a new habit. But the shift is already taking place inside your subconscious. The seed has been planted. The roots are spreading, and soon the growth will break through into your visible reality. The power of small changes is that they bypass resistance. The brain often rejects drastic shifts because it fears the unfamiliar. But when you introduce a small, clear, consistent action, the brain accepts it. Over time, it begins to rewire around it. Soon the habit is no longer something you force yourself to do. It becomes something you naturally live by. This is why the key to transformation is not waiting for the perfect moment to make a massive change. The key is to begin immediately with one small shift and repeat it with absolute commitment. In a week, you will feel the difference. In a month, others will notice the difference. In a year, the world will no longer recognize you. Clarity is the first habit that transforms everything. Without it, you are a ship lost at sea, drifting wherever the winds of life decide to push you. With clarity, you become the captain, guiding your direction with precision. Most people think they know what they want, but in reality, they live in fog. They carry vague wishes like I want to be successful or I want to be happy. But the mind does not move toward vague wishes. The subconscious does not respond to blurred visions. It only obeys clear, definite, and repeated commands. If you say, I want success, the mind has no clear picture to work with. But if you say, I will achieve this goal by this date in this way, the mind locks onto the image and begins to seek ways to create it. Clarity transforms dreams into orders, and orders are obeyed. When you define what you want with ruthless detail, everything changes. Energy that was once scattered becomes focused like a beam of light. Your daily choices gain power because they are no longer random, they are aligned. Imagine two people. One wakes up and drifts through the day hoping something good happens. The other wakes up with a written, defined target, a mental picture so strong it burns in the mind. Which one will progress faster? Which one will overcome obstacles? Which one will have the strength to persist when challenges rise? It is not the one with more talent or luck, it is the one with clarity. Clarity breeds direction, and direction breeds momentum. And once momentum begins, it becomes nearly impossible to stop. The mistake most people make is waiting for clarity to appear on its own. They wait for inspiration, for some magical sign that will tell them what to do. But clarity is not something you wait for. It is something you create. You create it by writing your goals in detail, by visualizing them until they feel real, by repeating them until your mind accepts them as law. Once you know exactly what you want, distractions lose their grip. Doubt weakens. Fear fades because when the mind knows the destination, it refuses to be stopped by the storms along the way. The first habit that changes your life in 1 week is this: ruthless clarity. Define your desire, and the rest of your life will reorganize itself to serve it. The subconscious mind is the engine behind every action, every feeling, every decision you make, and the truth is simple. It will always obey the instructions you give it. The question is, what orders are you sending? If you live in confusion, repeating uncertainty, then the subconscious has no clear direction to follow. It mirrors back the confusion you feed it. But if you feed it clarity, if you give it a definite vision, it accepts it as truth and begins to arrange your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors to match. The subconscious cannot reject what is repeated with emotion. That is why people who constantly speak of fear live in fear, and people who constantly speak of strength live in strength. You are not controlled by fate. You are controlled by the instructions you send to yourself every single day. Think of the subconscious as the soil of the mind. Whatever seed you plant will grow. Plant confusion and you reap chaos. Plant clarity and you reap direction. This is not philosophy, it is psychology. Neuroscience proves that repeated thoughts form neural pathways. The more often you think about something, the stronger those pathways become, until the brain defaults to them automatically. This is why it is not enough to casually think about your desires once or twice. You must repeat them until they take root. Repetition is the language the subconscious understands. The more vivid and emotional the repetition, the faster the seed grows into reality. When you speak with certainty, when you write your goals in detail, when you visualize the life you want every day, your subconscious begins to believe it is already true. Once it believes, it moves mountains to make it reality. Opportunities appear where none existed before. Your perception shifts. You notice solutions that were invisible when your mind was clouded with doubt. This is the hidden power of clarity. It does not just motivate you on the surface, it rewires the deepest part of your mind to align with your vision. If you find yourself stuck, it is not because you lack ability. It is because your subconscious has no clear instruction to follow. The mind is like a powerful engine with endless horsepower. But without a clear destination, it burns fuel in circles, never reaching progress. Once you give it a map, once you repeat your vision with unshakable certainty, the subconscious begins to drive you forward with unstoppable force. This is why the second section of transformation flows directly from the first. Clarity of intention is not optional. It is the foundation. Feed the subconscious confusion, and life will mirror back disorder. Feed it certainty, and life will reflect order. The quality of your life is the quality of the instructions you repeat to yourself. Discipline is the iron bridge that connects what you desire with what you achieve. Without it, dreams remain fantasies, empty pictures that never leave the mind. With it, every thought of success becomes fuel for action, and every action becomes another stone laid on the road toward your destiny. Discipline means doing what is necessary, not what is comfortable. It means rising when you would rather sleep, choosing focus when you would rather drift, and staying true to your commitments when excuses scream for your attention. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack the inner strength to hold themselves accountable. They wait to feel ready, they wait for the right mood, they wait for motivation. But the truth is brutal, motivation fades, moods change, and feelings are unreliable. Only discipline remains. Only discipline can be trusted to carry you through when everything else inside you wants to quit. Discipline is not punishment, it is freedom. The undisciplined person may feel free in the moment, choosing comfort and ease, but they pay for it later with regret, weakness, and wasted years. The disciplined person sacrifices in the moment, but gains the freedom of strength, the freedom of results, the freedom of knowing they control themselves instead of being controlled by impulses. This is the paradox of discipline. It feels hard at first, but it makes life easier. Lack of discipline feels easy at first, but it makes life harder. When you refuse to discipline yourself, life will eventually discipline you through failure, disappointment, and missed opportunity. But when you choose discipline voluntarily, you rise above the traps that keep most people chained to mediocrity. The truth is that every act of discipline strengthens your character. Each time you say no to laziness, you are not just completing a task, you are shaping a stronger identity. Discipline compounds just like every other habit. One small discipline choice may feel insignificant in the moment, but repeated daily it becomes the foundation of unshakable self-control. The disciplined person builds a reputation with themselves, and this is the most powerful reputation of all. They know they can trust their own word. They know they can depend on themselves. And once you reach this level of trust with yourself, nothing in the world can shake your confidence. Without discipline, clarity means nothing. You can know what you want, you can visualize it vividly, but if you lack the will to do what is necessary, the vision dies in your imagination. This is why discipline is not just a habit, It is the master habit, the one that makes all other habits possible. To practice discipline for 1 week is to feel your power return. To practice it for 1 month is to see results emerge. To practice it for 1 year is to transform your entire existence. Discipline is the fire that forges greatness, the steel that turns fragile intentions into unbreakable commitments. If you want a new life, you must build the bridge of discipline. Without it, you remain trapped on the shore of wishes. With it, you cross into the land of achievement. Inside every human being, there is a constant war. It is not a war fought with weapons or armies, but a silent battle that takes place within the mind every single day. One voice whispers comfort, urging you to stay where it feels safe, to avoid effort, to escape challenge. The other voice demands progress, calling you to rise, to push, to act even when it hurts. This is the war of discipline. Every morning you wake, the battle begins again. Each decision you make throughout the day decides which voice wins. And the truth is simple. The life you live is nothing more than the accumulation of those victories and defeats. If comfort wins too many battles, your life will be small. If progress wins, your life will expand beyond what you once thought possible. The inner war is not something you can escape. You cannot silence the voice of comfort completely because it is part of human nature. The desire for ease will always try to seduce you, promising rest, pleasure, or escape, but you must understand that this voice, though sweet in the moment, is a liar. It steals your strength quietly. It convinces you to put things off until tomorrow, but tomorrow turns into weeks, then months, then years. On the surface, it feels harmless, but behind the curtain, it is destroying your potential. The only way to win is to consciously strengthen the opposing voice, the voice of discipline. This voice may sound harsh, but it speaks the truth. It knows that the path of effort today becomes the path of freedom tomorrow. It knows that short-term sacrifice creates long-term reward. Every time you obey the voice of discipline, even in small ways, you train your mind to lean towards strength instead of weakness. The first time you do it, it feels painful. The second time, it still feels heavy, but the more you repeat it, the more natural it becomes. Soon the voice of discipline grows louder, stronger, more dominant. You begin to feel pride each time you overcome the temptation of comfort, and that pride fuels more victories. The war never ends, but you become a warrior skilled in winning it. You stop living as a prisoner of impulses and start living as the commander of your own actions. Understand this truth. Comfort is not your friend. It disguises itself as kindness, but it robs you of growth. Every great achievement in history was born out of discomfort, out of someone choosing the harder path while others gave in to ease. The inner war of discipline is the birthplace of transformation because it forces you to decide who you really are. Are you someone who bows to weakness, or are you someone who conquers it? Each choice reveals the answer. Winning this war daily builds the strength that no one can take from you. It creates a life of power, fulfillment, and unshakable confidence. When you learn to choose discipline over comfort, you win not just the battle of today, you win the war for your future. Before anything exists in the physical world, it first exists in the mind. Every invention, every breakthrough, every empire, and every life of greatness was first born as a vision in someone's imagination. The habit of daily visualization is the practice of deliberately creating that inner picture and allowing it to guide your actions until it becomes reality. Most people live reactively, seeing only what is around them and assuming that is all life has to offer. But the person who visualizes daily is not confined by present circumstances. They see beyond limitations. They carry the image of their future with them, and that image becomes a compass that directs their every step. Without vision, the mind wanders aimlessly. With vision, the mind is focused, powerful, and unstoppable. The reason visualization is so powerful is because the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined picture and a real experience. When you close your eyes and see yourself already living the life you want, speaking with confidence, achieving your goals, enjoying success, the subconscious accepts it as truth. And once it accepts it as truth, it works tirelessly to align your actions and decisions with that picture. Visualization plants a blueprint deep within the mind, and the subconscious begins building toward it in silence. The more often you practice it, the clearer the blueprint becomes, and the faster the construction of your new life begins. Many underestimate this habit because they confuse it with daydreaming. Daydreaming is idle and passive, a fleeting fantasy that carries no weight. Visualization, however, is intentional and fueled with emotion. It is not about escaping reality, it is about creating reality. When you visualize daily, you are rehearsing success. You are programming yourself to recognize opportunities, to feel worthy of greatness, and to act as though the life you desire is already yours. This mental rehearsal reduces fear, sharpens focus, and makes decisive action natural. The more vividly you see it, the more naturally you will move toward it without resistance. Think of visualization as training the mind the same way athletes train the body. Just as a muscle grows stronger with repeated exercise, the mind grows sharper and more powerful when it is trained with repeated images of victory. Every day you see yourself succeeding, you carve deeper pathways in the brain, making success not just possible, but inevitable. The clearer you make the image, the stronger your belief becomes. And belief is the force that moves mountains, the invisible hand that bends reality to match your inner picture. 1 week of daily visualization can shift your energy, your decisions, and your results. 1 month can create unstoppable momentum. A year can transform you into someone unrecognizable. This is not imagination for entertainment, it is imagination for creation. The person who makes daily visualization a habit holds the keys to their destiny, because what you consistently see in your mind, you will eventually hold in your hands. Modern science has revealed a truth that ancient wisdom always understood: the mind is the creator of reality. Neuroscience proves that the brain cannot fully distinguish between an actual event and a vividly imagined one. When you rehearse success in your mind, the brain lights up the same pathways as if you were already living it. This means that each time you visualize with emotion and clarity, you are not just imagining, you are training your brain to act, respond, and perform as though the success has already happened. Mental rehearsal is not wishful thinking. It is the strategic conditioning of the nervous system. Just as an athlete practices movements until they become automatic, you can practice success in your mind until it becomes your natural state of being. Think about how this changes everything. Most people allow their minds to rehearse failure. They dwell on what could go wrong, they picture rejection, they replay mistakes, and in doing so, they are programming their subconscious to expect defeat. The brain does not know they are only imagining. It takes those thoughts as real rehearsals and it prepares the body to fail before the battle has even begun. This is why so many sabotage themselves. But when you deliberately choose to rehearse victory, you give yourself an enormous advantage. You are programming confidence, sharpening focus, and teaching your subconscious to respond with strength instead of fear. Mental rehearsal is the secret weapon that separates those who succeed from those who stumble. The practice is simple but powerful. Each day, close your eyes and see yourself moving through life exactly as you wish to be. See yourself walking with confidence, speaking with authority, overcoming obstacles with ease. Feel the emotions of victory as though they are happening now. Let your heart race with excitement. Let your body feel the energy of accomplishment. The stronger the emotions you attach to the vision, the deeper it sinks into your subconscious. This is how new neural pathways are formed, through repetition and emotion. The more often you rehearse, the stronger those pathways become, until your mind defaults to them automatically. At that point, success no longer feels forced. It feels natural, inevitable, and effortless. 1 week of mental rehearsal can sharpen your focus and boost your confidence. 1 month can reprogram your identity, making you feel unshakably capable of achieving your goals. Over time, your reality begins to mirror your rehearsals because the subconscious is tirelessly working behind the scenes to match your outer life with your inner picture. This is why mental rehearsal is not just a supportive habit, it is a foundational one. If you want to transform your life, you must first transform your mental stage. You must train your mind to believe, to expect, and to act as though the life you desire is already yours. When you rehearse success with consistency, your future becomes nothing more than the inevitable unfolding of the script you have already written in your mind. Distraction is the silent thief of greatness. It does not come to you with violence or force. It sneaks in quietly, stealing a few minutes here, a few moments there, until entire days and years of your life are gone. People often believe failure is caused by massive mistakes or lack of opportunity, but in truth, most failure comes from nothing more than distraction. Every time you lose focus, you give away a piece of your destiny. Every wasted hour is an invisible chain, pulling you away from the future you deserve. Success demands a sharp and undivided mind, but distraction scatters your energy in 1,000 directions. You cannot build greatness with scattered energy. You can only build when every ounce of your focus is aligned toward what matters. The truth is simple. You cannot hold on to distraction and hold on to success at the same time. Something must die. Either distraction dies or your dreams die. Every person who has risen to greatness has done so by cutting away what steals their focus. They learned that the enemy is not always weakness, not always fear, but often the endless noise that pulls attention away from purpose. The human mind was not built to handle constant interruptions. Each distraction breaks your rhythm, and once rhythm is broken, productivity collapses. If you want to change your life in 1 week, begin by cutting away everything that steals your focus. Ruthless elimination of distraction is not optional, it is survival. When you begin to eliminate distractions, you reclaim your power. Suddenly, the hours that once vanished into nothingness return to you. The energy that was drained by mindless activity flows back into your goals. You begin to feel clarity, because focus breeds clarity. The noise fades, and you can hear the voice of your true purpose more clearly than ever before. This habit is not about deprivation, it is about liberation. By removing what weakens you, you create space for what strengthens you. By saying no to what does not serve you, you are saying yes to the life you were meant to live. Every distraction you cut away is another step toward freedom. Distractions are seductive because they offer quick comfort. They give you the illusion of rest, the illusion of entertainment, the illusion of connection. But beneath the surface, they are robbing you of the chance to rise. You must see distractions for what they are, not harmless habits, but powerful enemies dressed in disguise. If you choose to fight them, if you choose to eliminate them without mercy, you will feel your life accelerate. Focus is a weapon, and when it is sharp, it cuts through obstacles that once felt impossible. When you take control of your attention, you take control of your destiny. Eliminate distraction for a single week, and you will see the difference. Continue to eliminate it, and nothing will be able to stop the momentum you create. Focus is the most valuable currency you possess. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and where your energy flows, your results grow. The problem is that most people spend their attention carelessly, scattering it across meaningless noise until nothing of value remains. They attempt to pursue many things at once and wonder why they fail to achieve anything significant. The human mind is not designed to thrive in distraction. It is designed to lock onto a target and pursue it with intensity. Focus transforms effort into results, just as sunlight becomes powerful enough to burn when concentrated through a magnifying glass. Without focus, your energy is weak and diluted. With focus, your energy is sharp and unstoppable. The psychology of focus reveals a hidden truth. The brain filters reality based on what you give attention to. Scientists call it the reticular activating system. It is the part of the brain that decides what is important and what can be ignored. If you constantly feed it distractions, it learns to focus on the trivial and overlook opportunities. But if you train it with clear goals and relentless attention, it begins to filter out the noise and highlight the exact steps, people, and ideas that will lead you to success. This is why focus is more than a habit. It is a weapon of perception. It literally changes the way you see the world. When you commit to a life of focus, your actions become aligned with purpose. Decisions become easier because there is no confusion about what deserves your energy. Distractions lose their power because your mind is trained to ignore them. Obstacles appear smaller because your attention is locked on the goal, not on the challenge. Focus is the reason some people move forward while others stay stuck. It is not always intelligence, talent, or opportunity that creates success. It is the ability to direct attention like a laser, refusing to waste energy on what does not matter. 1 week of focused living will create more progress than months of scattered effort. A life lived with focus will create results so powerful they will feel impossible to those who never mastered this skill. Gratitude is the hidden force that transforms weakness into strength and scarcity into abundance. It may seem like a simple emotion, but when practiced as a daily habit, it becomes one of the most powerful psychological tools for transformation. Most people live in a constant state of complaint, focusing on what they lack, what went wrong, and what they fear may never come. This mindset keeps them chained to negativity, blinding them to the opportunities already in their hands. But the person who chooses gratitude rewires their mind to see abundance where others see nothing. Gratitude does not just change how you feel, it changes how you think, how you act, and how you attract. The science of gratitude shows that it activates parts of the brain linked to motivation, decision-making, and emotional regulation. In other words, it gives you the mental clarity and emotional resilience required to keep moving forward. Gratitude shifts your nervous system from stress into strength, calming the mind while energizing the body. When you choose to focus on what you already have instead of what you lack, your subconscious receives a powerful message: you are already rich, already strong, already moving forward. And when your subconscious believes this, it begins to attract more of it. Gratitude becomes a magnet for opportunities, relationships, and breakthroughs that others miss because they are too busy complaining. Living with relentless gratitude does not mean ignoring problems. It means seeing problems as hidden gifts, disguised lessons that make you stronger. Gratitude allows you to face challenges without being broken by them, because you understand that even pain carries value. It allows you to keep faith in the darkest seasons, because you choose to focus on the small lights that are still present. This mindset transforms you from a victim into a creator. The victim says, "Why is this happening to me?" The creator says, "I am thankful even for this, because it is shaping me into who I must become." Gratitude is not weakness. It is the vibration of strength, the perspective that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary leaders of their own lives. 1 week of practicing gratitude can change the way you see everything. 1 month can rewire your emotional state so completely that fear loses its grip on you. A year of gratitude will make you unstoppable, because you will no longer depend on circumstances to decide how you feel. Instead, you will carry your own source of strength within you. Gratitude is not just a nice habit, it is a force of creation. When you choose it daily, your life will overflow with reasons to keep choosing it. Gratitude is more than just a feeling. It is a form of emotional alchemy that transforms the way you experience the world. When you practice it consistently, it reshapes your nervous system, your perceptions, and even the very reality around you. Gratitude turns fear into faith, anxiety into clarity, and doubt into certainty. It is the force that allows you to extract value from every circumstance, no matter how difficult. Most people resist gratitude when life is hard, thinking it requires good circumstances to exist. But true gratitude grows in adversity because it does not depend on what is given. It depends on what you choose to see. When you practice gratitude, even in the midst of struggle, you gain the power to turn setbacks into stepping stones. The emotional alchemy of gratitude works because the mind cannot dwell on two contradictory states at once. If you are grateful, you cannot simultaneously be consumed by fear, resentment, or despair. Gratitude shifts your mental state and, in doing so, shifts the world around you. The subconscious mind begins to notice opportunities that were invisible before, solutions that seemed impossible, and paths forward that others overlook. When gratitude becomes a habit, it becomes an internal compass, guiding your decisions with wisdom, perspective, and clarity. The more consistently you practice it, the more automatic it becomes, until every day is colored by the awareness of abundance. Gratitude also strengthens resilience. Life will always present challenges, obstacles, and failures, but gratitude allows you to endure them with strength, seeing each challenge as a teacher rather than a threat. It transforms suffering into insight, difficulty into growth, and frustration into motivation. The habit of gratitude amplifies every other habit in your life. Clarity becomes sharper, focus becomes stronger, discipline becomes easier, and visualization becomes more vivid. Gratitude is not separate from action. It enhances every action by infusing it with purpose and energy. The person who masters gratitude does not simply live, they thrive, even when circumstances seem to conspire against them. 1 week of relentless gratitude can open your mind to possibilities that were previously invisible. 1 month can change your emotional state so deeply that you navigate life with confidence and composure. 1 year can create a mind that is unshakable, resilient, and focused, able to turn every circumstance into an opportunity for growth. Gratitude is not a luxury. It is the fuel that powers transformation. When you combine gratitude with clarity, discipline, visualization, and focus, your life becomes unstoppable. Emotional alchemy is real, and gratitude is the key that unlocks it, transforming ordinary existence into extraordinary achievement. Transformation is not a distant dream, it is a series of deliberate choices repeated with intensity and purpose. The habits of clarity, discipline, visualization, ruthless focus, and gratitude are not theories. They are forces that shape the mind, the body, and ultimately your destiny. 1 week of committed practice is enough to ignite profound change. 7 days of relentless alignment with these habits can break old patterns, create momentum, and awaken potential that has been dormant for years. Life does not require decades to bend toward greatness. It requires action, consistency, and unwavering commitment, starting today. The beauty of transformation is that it compounds silently. You may not notice dramatic changes at first, but each small victory, each moment of discipline, each mental rehearsal, and each act of gratitude builds upon the last. Momentum grows quietly, but its power is unstoppable. Soon, your thoughts, emotions, and actions are no longer random. They are aligned with your highest self. Your old identity begins to lose influence, and a new version of yourself emerges. This version is stronger, sharper, more focused, and more capable than ever before. Transformation is not external, it begins within. The habits you cultivate in your mind manifest in your life, bending reality to match the power of your inner world. The final truth is simple. You are the architect of your own destiny. Habits are your tools. Each choice is a brick. Each day is an opportunity to rebuild yourself. The transformation you seek is not a distant promise. It is a present possibility, waiting for you to claim it. 1 week of intentional practice can create shifts that ripple into months and years of unstoppable progress. You will begin to act differently, think differently, and respond differently. The world will respond to the strength you create within. Transformation is inevitable for those who choose to align, focus, and act with purpose. The question is not whether change is possible, it is whether you will commit to the habits that make it real. Your life will follow the pattern of your practice. Change your habits and you change everything.